Hello everyone and welcome to Whisky Wars, and for today's Whisky War we have a Speyside whisky from the Spey Distillery, which I have been getting into a lot lately, but interestingly this is a limited edition, but it's a peated whisky. So I do like my peated Speysides, I just feel like they give such a unique twist on peated whisky. But with this one in particular, it's a combination of three different Spey releases. So we have the Spey 10A, I think it's pronounced, TENNE, which is a port release finish from Spey, mixed with the Fumare, which is their peated release, which is also mixed with Trutina, which is a purely ex-bourbon cask release from Spey. Now I've not actually tried any of those three in particular, but this is a combination of all three sort of blended together. So pretty interesting. It's also bottled at 46% ABV, so a good strength as well. Since it is 40%, I would imagine very lazily the other three are also 46%, just to keep things simple, but I could be wrong on that, so I wouldn't like to assume really, I probably shouldn't have done. Okay, on the nose. Interesting, that's not as peated as you get from a lot of other peated Speysides. With some peated Speysides, they can be lighter on the peat. Also, it's usually Highland peat, which is different to Island and Isla peat. So it does tend to give a lighter style of peat anyway, but this one seems lighter, and that makes sense with the blend of all three. The other two obviously aren't peated, so there's a lesser concentration than another peated Speyside release would be. The Fumare, for instance, I'd imagine is significantly more peated than this one, because this only contains, let's say, a third. We don't know the ratios they've added in. But I do like that. Just off the top of my head, and I am going to compare it to the Glendronach traditionally peated, that I really enjoy. I think that's also bottled around the 46-48% range, so I'm going to be comparing the two in a Whisky War together. But I do think that this could be even lighter on the peat than that one. But the peat gives a lovely roasted soil feel. Fallen leaves especially, very autumnal in nature. But it's light on that, so it's just a very light roast, but more earth in character. Not really too smoky. It's really nice. Fruitiness is present, but again, just like the peat, it's also not dominating the whisky. I like that. I would just hazard a guess, perhaps the largest component is going to be that ex-bourbon cask, with just the additions of the other two, but I really like those additions. This is really interesting. It doesn't overpower you in the port, the sherried notes, the winey notes. It doesn't overpower you in the peaty notes either. But I do get a custard note in here. I do get vanillas. I do get just a very nice toasted oak note. I'd imagine if I played around with this and sat with it, I'd get a little bit more out of it as well. Decent complexity. But we don't have time for that. Let's get straight into the taste. Just before we do though, guys, if you'd be so kind to click the like button, that hype button if you get a chance, and also that subscribe button, that'd be much appreciated. Thank you. A little bit youthful, that taste actually, which is a little bit of a shame because the nose was very exciting. I get a lovely fallen leaf taste. Autumnal, like I say, especially with the combination of the fruitiness with the fallen leaves. It does give me that, and we're actually in the middle of a storm right now at the end of November at the time of filming this. It seems very apt for the time of year, this whisky. Just a little bit of a shame perhaps with that youthful component on the taste, but I'll go in for another sip. I seem to be getting like a touch of apricot, some honeys, some lemons, and a lovely bit of oak as well. I'm actually really enjoying the taste. I should also mention as well, this whisky is natural colour. I don't know about the chill filtration, it doesn't mention it, but it is natural colour. It's also non-chill filtered. It does mention it on the label. So the port casks in this are going to be tawny port casks. And interestingly, which I didn't know, when these guys were being blended together, it was finished in first fill tawny port casks for another finish. So 3 casks, bourbon, tawny port and peated, all mixed together, finished in first fill tawny port casks. It's called the Trilogia. A very interesting whiskey actually. Okay, let's talk about the price. £50 in the UK. Is it worth it? I actually think it is. And I know some of you might think £50 non-age stated. I might not be a huge fan of it for the money. It is 46% ABV, natural colour, non-chill filtered. And it's giving me a really nice combination of flavour and a very light take on a peated Speyside. I really like it. I really do like this whiskey. Do I think it's worth £50? I do actually. I like this whiskey. I think it's really good. If I was being very picky, I would personally like it to be a little bit older, and I'd actually like the port to come through a little bit more. I really like the level of peat. I think that's been done very well. But I'd perhaps just like a touch more fruitiness in this whiskey, which is interesting because it's finished in first fill tawny port casks and there's also tawny port addition in there. So you'd think that fruitiness would come through strong, and it's there, it's present. But I'd like it just a touch more at a little bit of an older age. But I'm being picky. I really like the whiskey. I think it's very complex. Okay guys, thank you so much for watching this video. This was the whiskey review for the Spey Trilogia. If you did like the video, please click the like button, the hype button and that subscribe button, and I hope to see you all for the next Whiskey War.